I'm a crossbench peer in the House of Lords. I have been for 3 years. I work full-time on legislation and working with disabled people to fight for equality and human rights. Disabled people have come a long way in their fight for equal rights, and I would say the physical environment is a lot better than when I was young. We can get access to buildings, we are out and about using public transport. The main battle that we face is twofold at the moment. One is attitudinal, and we're fighting a general attitude that if you have a severe disability, especially one that is progressive or terminal, then your life is one of suffering and torment and sadness. That's not the case for most people living with those conditions. And the other one is we're fighting for support to live independently. So social care and healthcare is not enough for people like me to live without the worry of being a burden. So twofold, independent living and attitudes. A good day for me is a very ordinary day. It's a day when I go to work and I'm sitting with my colleagues and we're having a good debate and they're telling me off when I'm doing something wrong, or they're challenging me on my views, or they congratulate me when I'm saying something that is skillful and useful. That's a good day for me. It's a day of debate where I'm the good guy or the bad guy or just the ordinary guy. A bad day for me is when I'm sitting with a group of people and somebody turns to me and says, "Gosh, Jane, I think you're so brave. I couldn't live like that. I'd rather be dead." And I always have to take a deep breath, because what they're saying to me at that point in time is that they think that my life actually has no value, because if it did, then I would want to live. And they feel that I'd be better off dead. We have to absorb those attitudes nearly every day of our lives. Is there no wonder that some people want to die?
Well, James and I actually met when we were children, when we were about 3. And it was most definitely not love at first sight. But we grew up together and became very good friends, and then started going out just before we went to university and got engaged when I graduated, and then got married a year later. We had an incredibly happy marriage, lived a very ordinary life, but then he started to be unwell, and he went to see the doctor, and a month later they said actually he does have this very rare tumour. It was incredibly hard work for both of us to deal with the reality that our marriage would end more quickly than we had ever imagined. Dealing with all those emotions and the hurt and the pain, I used to sometimes hate going home from work, because I knew that I was going to have to go home and deal with the person I loved so much being in pain. We had to rely on each other and look after each other, because although I was looking after him physically, emotionally, all those kind of things, he was equally looking after me. It was a real partnership. Dying isn't always isn't as horrible as perhaps we think it can be. So I was actually incredibly privileged to be there as James died. But also over that time, I saw God working in me, I saw God working in James, and I saw God working in people around us. So yeah, you'd save a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. But I think in doing that, you would miss out on a lot of what God wants to teach us.
In 2002, I was diagnosed with a brain tumour, and they operated, and during the operation something went wrong, just don't know, and they said that I'd never walk again, which was a bit of a body blow.
I think for me, I mean, we had both just retired from work and had all sorts of plans that we thought we'd do in our retirement. But for me, I had suddenly become a house husband, and that is a 24/7 job.
I have bad days. I have bad days and good days, and the bad days are very bad. Sometimes I have cried myself to sleep because I just can't cope. And when I went to see the consultant, I just burst into tears. I can't cope with anymore. I can't cope. What else is going to go wrong? You know, because there are bits and pieces of my body which are just folding up and closing down. And this is hard. This is hard. And I don't know what Alan would feel about that, but dark days and good days.
It's a thing that bites you every now and again. It doesn't ever go away completely. And just when you think it's going well, it's as though somebody gives you a wallop. You can see in many instances cases far worse than ours. But I think, speaking from ourselves, you know, we're in a race, we're on a journey. I think where I come from, the journey needs to be completed, and completed in God's time. And there was never a guarantee that it was going to be smooth.